Okay, boys, knock it off. Where's your? Okay, you have a pencil in your hand. Where's your pencil?
Where's this?
Okay, we're going to continue on this immigration stuff.
Where's my
Where is your pencil, man? You never have a pencil. What's up with that?
No, I had a pencil like the last class and the class before, but I don't.
Lost all 5 of your pencils.
Okay, we're gonna look into the case of Satnam Singh, and I believe grade 9s that you have questions in your notes about this gentleman. I feel like wherever I stand, I'm like blocking someone's view. Is this correct? That's your answer? Just okay. Anyways, so Satnam Singh, if I recall correctly, he's in Canada. He wants to state his refugee case. The court system decided not to, or the Immigration Act did not allow Mr. Singh to state his case in person or to appeal the government's decision on his case. And if I do recall correctly, he was already in Canada. Right. Okay. We'll just skip on ahead to the next slide, which has more details. Unfortunately, I don't remember too much about this. It's been a while. Supreme Court said that this violated the charter, which says everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of the person. Okay, so that Immigration Act existed before the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Charter of Rights and Freedoms, what year did it come into place?
1982.
1982, is correct. Okay. So 1982 and beyond, all Canadian citizens have certain rights, and all people within the borders of Canada have certain rights as well. Okay, and in this case, this gentleman, Satnam Singh, would have had the right to stand in front of a trial, or not a trial, stand in front of a court and to plead his case, to see someone in person. Okay. Again, there's more details in your textbook on this and in your notes likely, or your questions. And so that second point there is very important here. Every person physically present in Canada is given a certain amount of rights. A friend of mine actually a couple of years ago was trying to claim refugee status out of Israel. He himself was a Palestinian Arab, and despite the fact that he wasn't a Canadian citizen, he had a caseworker, he had someone helping him, and many services were given to him in the process. Ultimately, he ended up not going through with it because he realized he wouldn't be able to go home and see his family and didn't want that to happen. But as someone within the boundary and border of Canada, he had a right to gaining certain government services. Some people may be more or less willing to grant that, might think differently, and obviously it's very complicated. If you were in a situation in another country and you needed that country's help, despite the fact that you're not a citizen, would you like there to be some sort of government services or some sort of charitable services? It's very likely, if you ever needed that help. Here's just a little chart about the history of immigration in Canada. So again, January 1st, 1885, all the way on the left, we have the Chinese head tax, which doesn't end until 1923, which quite frankly isn't that long ago. It's 100 years. It's not that long. How many of you have grandparents that are over 80? Right, it's about their lifetime. It's not that long ago that ended. There's various internment. So again, not necessarily dealing with immigration, but dealing with people who migrated to Canada, who are newcomers to Canada. What else is there? They don't have the, this chart doesn't have the whole incident with the having to sail from India directly. The Singh decision was in 1985, Immigration Act 1976, Immigration Refugee Act, which we looked at as well, 2002. Okay. Various apologies. Okay. That's interesting. The government didn't apologize for the Chinese head tax until 2006. What year were you kids born again? 2008? It's like 2 years before you were born. So obviously, Canada has a very complicated history in terms of, who should be invited to the table for decision making. Should grade 9s be invited? What do you think? Yes, no? Busy taking notes? Shaking your head, no. Why is that? You don't think you should get a voice in terms of immigration?
Well, I'm saying these notes don't line up.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. What's the error?
That says Aboriginals have a reasonable occupation. Well, I'll just have Aboriginals have an expectation.
No way.
You're actually trolling me here.
What do you mean? What?
Some critical thinking should have been applied to this situation, young men.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean? This one lines up perfectly. Just one letter. Ah, so what? You have one blank and put 2 words in there.
Man, it's not that hard.
See, you heard it there first. It's not that hard. Get it together. What's going on with this road? What?
What's going on with you?
Nothing. Dealing with you kids. Okay. Anyways, it's good to consider who should get a say in terms of who we do and do not allow to migrate into this country. If you weren't indigenous, Aboriginal, everyone else is a migrant at some point in the last 500 years. But, if you go back 10, 12,000 years, 14,000 years, well, all indigenous people migrated here from somewhere. Right? Yeah, if you go back a couple 100,000 years, everyone migrated out of Africa. Why humanity originated in Africa, I don't know. An additional issue is, well, should Canada bring more migrants into its borders when we already have plenty of issues of homelessness, crime, poverty, housing? Or should we bring more people? Like some of you might live in a 2 or 3 bedroom house, and maybe that works for you, 4 bedroom. Like what if your parents decided to have like another 3 kids, and now you have to share your room with like an infant, right? Look, you got a shocked look on your face, but that's probably because your friend said something to you, right? Like imagine then now you have to share your bed with 2 other people, not your bed, your room. Does anyone here share their room? I did that when I was a kid. A couple of us? No? You're making such a nasty face, like you have a younger sister, right? You said. Like, so you absolutely would not want to share your room with your younger sister. You wouldn't either.
Yes, it
Both of you wouldn't. You have a younger sister as well. What about you? You have siblings? Yeah. Would you want to share your room with your little brother? Isn't that so fascinating, grade 9? How about you, boys in the back? You have a sibling? You have siblings, right? Older or younger? Okay. Would you want your younger sibling living with you in your room?
I'm fine with it.
No way. Such a generous man. Do you think your older brother or sister?
Both.
Okay, do you think your older brother would be happy if you moved into his room? You both? Oh, why do you think that is?
It's very private.
It's very private. Oh. Too private for you, eh? Isn't that fascinating? So, none of you would want to share your room with your sibling. And then people are shocked when nobody wants immigration. You're laughing, but those 2 things add up. It's like, you don't want to share your own space. No wonder you want to share your country either.
Right? My sister steals my stuff all the time.
Hey, that's right there, grade 9. That's an excellent thing. You know, what do they say about immigrants? They're stealing our prime example right here.
Like, I have this jacket, and I'm like, don't wear it. And she's like, you know what? I'm gonna wear it.
No way. So somebody who was born and raised here could say, oh, I was born and raised here. Like, these are my jobs. Don't take my jobs. Why can't you say that? How's that racist?
You own a job.
You don't own the job.
You own the clothes.
So maybe you feel entitled to it. Like it's your birthright.
Being entitled is bad.
Young man has his hand up. What's up?
The individual beside me made a very odd remark.
Well, say it out loud. Say it for the camera.
He said,
Already?
Please say it.
Class ends in 9 minutes.
he said he'd let his sister move in with him if she was hot.
Oh man, you're saying the quiet stuff out loud. What's wrong with you?
And this is also being recorded, guys.
No. He said the quiet stuff out loud to his buddy. Why would he do that? No, he was trying to verify whether or not his friend was accepting of that, and his friend was not.
I don't even have a sister.
But we know what you do if you did. It's so weird.
No, what do you say?
Oh, you don't need to hear it. We don't need to embarrass
Yes, I
him
do.
further. Anyways, you know, these problems are complex, right? And then you look at the way you live your own life. Like very few of you, just one of you said you would be okay with your sibling moving into your room. Right? So, is it really so shocking, grade 9s, that some people hold the belief that, well, we should close our borders. We shouldn't let other people into our country.
Yes.
Like, again, you're laughing.
Different.
It is shocking. Huge.
Why? But they don't want to, like, you wouldn't want to share, well, you share a room, right? But, like, some of these people wouldn't want to share their room with their own family. Like, imagine a stranger. Would you share your room with a stranger?
No.
Yes,
Of course you would, yeah.
That's
I would share, but well, it depends on the stranger. Like,
What
is it a friendly stranger?
What if they smell a little different than you? They cook a little different food and they do things differently.
I
Like,
don't know, it depends. Are they giving like Jeffrey Dahmer vibes or like they giving like a good?
no, just like this person's different.
Like they're just different. Like what do you mean by different? Like there's
My man.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Do they got nice style?
I feel like it's
nice.
You think it's different? How come?
Are they a woman?
Hey, grade 9s, let's quiet down. Let's quiet down. Please,
Only share a room with men.
boys, at the back. Thank you. So let's hear. Why are these situations different? Because to me they seem very similar. You know, so think about it this way. Here's a different problem, right? So like poverty, they talk about homelessness, right? Sort of watch which finger you're raising over there. Okay? So a lot of people say, oh, you know, like we should solve homelessness, right? But like, hey, how much money do you donate to homeless shelters?
$5.
None.
Same. I get 0. Well, kind of. I don't know.
What's that?
Why is that? Man, I'd love to live out on the street now. I don't know, it's just not a problem I don't know, it's not a problem I invest in because, you know, how do you solve homelessness? Is you should give people a house? Like, is that the problem of homelessness? Not necessarily, right? They need a job, they need maybe mental health, right? Psychological health, addiction, right? Homelessness isn't just, oh, they don't have a house. You know? Sometimes it could be, right? So, you know, the question is, it's like how much of your own time and energy, again with the crinkling grade 9s, please. It pierces through all the other sound, it goes right through my ear and it affects my brain, the crinkling. I don't know why, it's just how God made me. Okay? Anyways, you know, before you point the finger and say, well, we should solve this problem, like we should bring in so many immigrants every year. It's like, hey, you know, how about you accept an immigrant family into your house and see what it's like? You know, it's challenging. It's gonna have its challenges. Helping people is actually very difficult, especially if they don't want to be helped. One of you boys, you're moving. He picked you. Okay, you're gonna move. You're gonna come sit right beside the camera where that water bottle is. No, you picked him. You're moving. You were too slow, man. Come on. But you were both chatting. What's your question?
Okay, homeless people should just rob people. Just
What?
No, hear me out. Okay, so if you get away with it, you get like a bunch of free stuff. And if you don't get away with it, then you get a bed to sleep in.
Big brain.
It's like a win-win.
Okay. No comment.
No.
But I will say a funny story. So somebody from Calgary had asked, they're asking this forum, they're like, hey, you know, like, what? So essentially, they were harassed by a homeless person. I think they got into a fight. This guy beat this homeless person up, and then was asking the community, like, hey, like, you know, should I be worried about repercussions? And I think everybody in the comments like, nah, they're homeless. What are they gonna do? And they attacked you, right? Just a funny side story. No comment here why like homeless people should steal. Stealing's wrong, man. Jesus is right there. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but like,
What if you just like take it back and
they go to prison, right? They get food, they get
Okay, yeah. That's what you meant.
yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant they'd steal money from them and have a bed. Like, okay, that doesn't really make sense. Yeah, a lot of homeless people sometimes will do petty crimes to be put into a jail cell for like a week, a month, 30 days. You know, like.
that dog?
They could have ate the dog. They're hungry. And they're hungry.
I don't know how it turned to eating dogs. Anyways, like that guy said yesterday he didn't come to school because it was too cold, right?
What?
You know, imagine it's -40 and you live on the street. You just grab somebody, you shake them a little bit and tell them like, give me your money. They call the police, you get arrested. Now you have a little hotel, courtesy of the taxpayer. But solving problems is difficult. Another question we could bring up is, well, can we solve poverty like once and for all?
No.
That's
interesting. Why do you think that?
Well,
Just crickets.
okay, because
Let's hear it.
population is always increasing and inflation is causing money to become less valuable, so it's harder to make money and like, yeah, stuff like that.
Sure, I mean, okay, so I like your idea. The population is always going up. There's always more people, so there's always going to be people who are not capable of making good decisions and become impoverished. You know, for like a set of reasons, they just cannot make enough money to be out of poverty, potentially, right? Could be mental health, could be addiction, could be just, you know, just bad hand. You get cards dealt in life, maybe you had a bad hand, right? It's complicated. You want to add?
Some people just don't want this help. They want to like do whatever they want to do. Inflation.
That's very pragmatic. You know, some people don't want to be helped. Okay, some people really enjoy misery. You know, it's complicated. So, you know, obviously we should still work towards solving poverty, reducing homelessness, providing people more opportunities, having some sort of centers to help people with addiction, to help them get on their feet. But you can't solve all these problems permanently. Just be like, hey, you know, Monday, January 30th, 2035, like we solved all the problems, we're good. It's just not how life works, right? And so it's complicated. You can't just be like, well, there's problems in Canada and we haven't solved them yet fully and entirely, so everybody else can just screw off. Okay, the borders are closed. We're done. No more applications because there's problems that exist. You know, it's complicated. But again, coming back down to what right do Indigenous or Aboriginal people have in terms of getting a say on how many immigrants get accepted? And quite frankly, what rights did your parents have as citizens of Canada? Like, did we get to decide anything? Didn't feel like it. You know? Let's move on, because half of you are falling asleep. Rise, kids, rise. Take more notes. You haven't filled out a single thing. It's actually embarrassing. Okay. So the Assembly of First Nations, you know, you'd have to find a source for this exactly, but they claimed at some point allegedly that, well, freeze all immigration. Isn't that kind of wild? Don't you think that's like, what's the word people use? Problematic? Slightly.
What?
Do you think they're criticized for that statement? Do you think so? I imagine they were, right? Maybe they're supported, like, yeah. You're the first peoples of this country. Of course you could say that. But like, what if you're living in Syria and your dictatorship government is, you know, airstriking your home and your neighbors, and you're trying to get out of Dodge, and you look over yonder, the big blue ocean, and you see way in the distance Canada, where the government doesn't airstrike their own people, and we don't, you know, generally speaking, we don't kill our citizens for saying something bad about the government, and we have opportunities, we're very safe, you know, doesn't that person have a right to some extent to at least want to improve their living situation? I'm not saying they have a right to just come to Canada. But is everyone not free to want better for themselves, for their children? You know, like allegedly you're here to have a better life. Allegedly. Right? Hopefully getting an education, getting some credentials will give you a better life. You know, do you feel like you have a right to that? Or is it a privilege? Could be a bit of both. It really is a privilege to live in this country. I was just chatting about this with my friend yesterday. Like, how many of you don't like potholes? I don't. I ride a motorcycle, man. They're sketchy. Why do you love potholes? That's so wild.
Just like sometimes on the rainy inside, they like get a puddle inside. You like jump in.
What?
Fair enough, man. I don't think I've done that for like a decade, but
You need to try it. It's so
there's no way, man. There's no way I'd get these pants dirty like that. I get big rubber boots and I jump in the puddle.
Oh, look, I'm muddy.
But how many of you like how many of you like it that when you go home you turn on the hot water, you get hot water?
I like that.
It's actually so nice. Look at you, a bunch of you not raising your hands. You're lying. Like, hot water is a blessing. Man, when I was in Greece, they didn't have a hot water tank. We had to take cold showers. I think I showered like 2 times in a month. Yeah. Hey, unlike you, I don't stink when I go without a shower. Whoever said that.
Cold shower is good.
Cold showers are good for you, but I had just come from the Middle East. I was in Israel, where it was like 35 degrees. I went to Greece. It was November. It was like 5 degrees. I was freezing. The last thing I wanted was cold water touching my body.
Where in Greece were you?
I was like pretty close to Sparta, which is kind of more in the south. Right.
It's where Johnny's from.
Johnny wishes he was from there. Now, their request isn't irrational or unreasonable, right? You know, particularly, so if you really look into the situation, many reserves, many indigenous people, well, I don't know exactly how many, but a percentage of them live in pretty awful conditions, and like, Leduc's pretty good, you know? So you'd think like, okay, if I went 50 to 100 kilometers south of Leduc, why would it feel like a third world country? Like, why would it, how many of you have even been to a third world country? Like, right? You know, you went to Cuba. Yeah, Cuba's an interesting one, right? You been to Cuba as well? Yeah, it's complicated. So, third world country is a country that's still trying to develop. Like, maybe they don't have like clean running water. So in Pakistan, where I'm from, you know, like we couldn't drink the water. You get diarrhea, right? There was no real plumbing. Okay, so like using going in a hole in the ground is not fun, kids. Matter of fact, my cousin there, I remember this one time, he just went to the backyard and dug a hole. Like, man, there's a washroom down there, like, what are you doing? You know, so a third world country is a place where they're really developing a lot of their amenities. And so, you know, maybe the housing is very, what?
Was it in Canada that
Oh, this was in Pakistan.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he didn't just go to his backyard. Oh, kids, you gotta call before you dig. No matter what you're digging for. Right? It's not unreasonable to want to say like, hey, we should improve housing for indigenous peoples. You know, they have the same right as any other Canadian to have a decent house, to have decent living conditions, clean running water. You know, but unfortunately, like, the world is and isn't magic, right? So magical in the sense that, like, you know, electricity is basically the same thing that Thor shoots out of his fingers, right? We just don't think of it that way. But, you know, the process to get electricity to this school is very practical. You have to build stuff, right? So if you want clean running water 150 kilometers out of Edmonton, you know, the water doesn't just magically appear there, right? Like a pipe takes it from the source to the tap where it's coming out of. So it's complicated to do these things. Yes. It's expensive as well.
I got a question.
Yes.
So like, you know how water has been like a thing so long.
Yeah, I was telling this guy, all water is old water because
Yeah.
it's the same.
But like when you have it in a water bottle for like a week, it like tastes worse.
You gotta ask your science teacher.
How does that
I would
work?
assume because the plastic leaches into your bottle.
There's plastic in the ocean.
Cake by the ocean.
Well, think about it this way, like, the ratio of plastic water bottle to water in the bottle is pretty evenly matched, right? Like, you know, the ocean's very large, and yeah, there's a significant amount of plastic in there, but the ocean's very large, so it's not gonna taste like plasticky water. It's also open. Right, so your water in that bottle is trapped. Can't go anywhere. Right.
It's the same area.
Yeah, I don't know, you'd have to ask a science teacher, because I really don't understand why that's true. Anyways, let's move on because kids are falling asleep again. Look, kids, rise! Rise! Take notes! Come on, what are you doing? You still have your head down over there. There you go. Your sister's outside. We should like annoy her. We should bring her in here. We should ask the class to vote which one is the better sibling. What do you think of that? She's pretending to not hear. What is this slide? More stuff about French people wanting to increase the amount of French in Canada. Again, should the government, just say unprofessionally, give a damn about Quebec wanting to bring in more and more French immigrants? Like, should that really matter? Is that of the utmost importance? I don't know, right?
Why don't they just like they want to leave and
Wait, hold on a minute.
I want them to leave.
What if we
Because
just,
they want to leave.
what if we just dig underneath Quebec, put it on a big truck, and just send it back to France? We'll put Quebec on a boat, and we'll ship it back to
They
Europe.
don't even
That's
want
why
to
they
be
make
here, so why do they like
tugboats.
stay here?
We'll have like 1 billion tugboats, and we'll just pull Quebec across the ocean. And then we'll take Ontario and the Maritimes, we'll pick it up and we'll move it over and bring it closer to us, right?
Just like how Pangea happened.
It just almost like how Pangea happened, right? We'd have to get a little bit deeper. We'd have to go beyond the crust. We'd have to get into the bedrock, right? The tectonic, like, better yet, we'll cut the tectonic
You
plate.
can't even break bedrock though.
Yeah, you can.
No.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What if you threw
It's
dynamite
not
at it?
breakable.
Yeah, you can't break.
You can't break it. You'll fall into
Anyway.
the void.
The Earth has a molten core.
Yeah, but that.
Yeah, but you'll fall into the
break
void if you
bedrock.
break the bedrock.
Exactly.
The void can't stop me.
Have you never played Minecraft?
I actually have not. I'm gonna keep
What?
it that way. Okay?
You're so kind.
What's that?
They're so offended, it's funny.
They're so what?
Offended that you're playing Minecraft.
You should be offended.
Yeah.
Terrible game, man. It's like literally grab a shovel, play Minecraft outside. Instead you like click, 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 click on a computer. You just stare at the screen.
Yeah,
Is it
but
real
here's
life?
the thing. You're punching.
There's no void over there, man. There's a
You're-
void in
level,
You're
Minecraft.
punching wood blocks to build a crafting. That's
What
much
if
more
instead
fun
of
than-
punching wooden blocks on a pixelated screen, you just gently picked up the wood and shaped it into a table?
You're like you need stuff to make the wood. You can't just like. You can't do that.
Exactly, you
But
can't
like in
just boom.
Minecraft, you can.
Oh, instead you take your credit card out, you go to Home Depot, you go to Cap.
I don't have a credit.
Yeah.
Your mom has one.
Minecraft does not have a mom.
Huh?
Minecraft's so much better. I don't have a mom.
68% of all new immigrants settled in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. Why do you think that is?
The world moved.
They're the most popular.
They're most populated. What's that about the world?
Because they're major cities.
They're major cities. They're very populated. Why else? Like look at Canada physically. Why would people go to those 3 spots specifically?
Because you're still in the water.
Yeah, it's like very close to the border of Canada, right? Like look at Vancouver. You can literally, I mean, you can wander across the border, right? Montreal and Toronto as well. They're kind of the 2 main cities, big cities you'll pass or go through on your way into Canada. So it makes a lot of logical sense that people will go there. And then these cities just have their own gravity to them that they start pulling more and more people.
Right.
Montreal is actually very diverse. I really enjoyed that about Montreal. It's quite interesting. But, you know, we don't want to just load up 3 cities and just pack them and stuff them full like a can of sardines.
Why not?
Well, because we're people, we're not sardines. So, there are programs to get people out of Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver into the rest of Canada, because Canada is big and wide and majestic, right? Really fixated on that one. Okay. Ideally, you know, you get these immigrants, you get these skilled workers, and you spread them out through the provinces. You know, they get a little taste of Canada. Hopefully they don't get put into some, like, I don't know if I should say that.
Say it.
Say it.
Say it.
Oh.
Edit it out.
I double
Edit it
like
out.
it.
Listen, here's what I will say. Has anyone been to, like, Manitoba? No way you're from Manitoba. We're about to disgrace Manitoba. Okay. What's that?
I don't like it either. It's okay.
What do you least like about Manitoba? Other than its
Um,
name and just the general shape and just the general vibe.
it's really like boring,
So boring.
and it's really country and French.
Really, it's French.
Yeah, my whole town is really French.
Oh, even more reason to dislike.
Yeah, you know, imagine you come from like a really hot country, right? And you immigrate to Manitoba where the population of 7, right? And like 4 of those people don't like you because you look different, potentially, right? And then winter hits, and you've never experienced such suffering. Like if you think winter's bad in like Alberta, it's terrible in Manitoba. There's no population density to keep you warm. Right? It's just flat.
Oh.
It's like Saskatchewan, but worse.
Yeah, literally. It's like the downgraded version.
What's the best province?
The best province?
Alberta.
Yeah, go back there.
BC.
Go.
Where?
Manitoba.
No, I said what is the best
Oh,
province?
what's the best province?
Newfoundland or BC?
Toronto's a city.
Oh, you just exposed yourself, man. You look silly now.
Yeah, BC is really nice.
BC's pretty nice, but their politics are kind of whack.
They are.
Yeah, and like everything that's expensive.
Ontario.
Quebec is beautiful, but the population is feisty, man. Like, apparently if you go to Quebec City, like, they don't like people who can't speak French, and, you know, I can't speak French. Montreal is wonderful. I love Montreal.
The people in
Yes.
Montreal are
You need to go to washroom? Go ahead.
There's no problem.
I think the Maritimes are quite beautiful.
They're kind of scary.
I know you didn't just put your foot on the desk.
I
What's wrong?
think I like lightly.
You thought about it, you tried it, you failed.
Yep.
Anyways, you know, if you come to Canada and you're an immigrant, you know, if you leave your home and try to start a new life somewhere, it's gonna be a bit of suffering grade 9. Just like this little bit of suffering you're experiencing in your life right now in grade 9, right? Well, it's not that bad, is it?
This is terrible.
It's pretty bad when you're in this class, eh? It's just awful. You know, like, look, some of your classmates are so bored. You look so heartbroken that I moved you. Should I move one of your friends? Should I move one of your friends?
I don't care.
Go back to where you came.
Whoa! The way you just said that. This guy's like from 7 places. Where does he go?
Anywhere.
Dude.
Anywhere.
Classes almost over.
Oh, that's wonderful, man, because I'm like done with this class. I can't believe today's only Wednesday. Like, we still have 2 more days this week. Anyways, look, grade 9, grade 9. What is this? Pie chart. It's data. It's a graph. You know, those are things that you'll have to know how to interpret, even on social studies tests. So what's going on here? Immigration by province and territory. Why are we so noisy? What's going on? 50% of the immigrants go to Ontario. They're like hogging all the talent and skill. You know? 4% go to Manitoba. 4 out of every 100 people have it so much better than 3 out of every 100 people who go to the rest of Canada. Like imagine they send you to the Northwest Territories. Imagine you come from a tropical country where the sun do be shining and it's beautiful and it's tropical and it's humid, and they send you to the Northwest Territories where the sun doesn't shine for like
Ever, like Manitoba. It barely ever shines.
Dude, it happens every year.
For a monkey dinner, it's so
This every year.
like actually.
It's always windy, there's no trees to stop the wind.
hey, let's get the, how much time do we have left? When's class end?
12.
5 minutes? Okay, we got a couple slides left. I should have hurried up.
No.
So this girl like walking to the back out. This creepy guy, like,
So,
following her.
one big overall theme, look at all you kids who put your notes away, now you look silly. One big overall theme in Canada's politics, well, you don't have a single thing filled out, is that, you know, Quebec really gets its say. You know, Quebec, for a variety of reasons, gets to like twist the arm of Canada. You know, what's up with that? Why is that? Even I don't know. You know, they just figured something out and they just twist arms and pull ears. You ever had your ear pulled?
Yes.
Yeah? No way, who did it to you?
My mom.
Did you deserve it?
No.
Do you know how big my
Oh,
ears
come on. 10 years from now, you'll look back like, I probably deserved that.
used to be? Phil, do you
Has
know
your
how
dad
big
ever done it?
No, but my friend's mom's done it to me too.
Does that friend go to this school?
No.
Are you still friends with this person?
Yeah.
No way.
Who is it?
That's wild. How did you feel when that person's mom pulled your ear? Like, what did you do?
Well, she sort of was walking with me, pulling my ear, so I just like went right beside her so that she wouldn't pull hard.
So she's just pulling your ear just to like drag you along.
Yeah, because well, I deserved it that time.
Ah, so that's what, when I asked you what did you do, that's what I was wondering. Like, what happened?
Nothing.
Nothing you want to share, okay. More non-Francophone immigrants settle in Quebec than Francophone immigrants. You know, I'm sure that irritates the Quebecois people. They kind of get first dibs. Let's go on to the next slide.
There is no next time.
Wow, look at that. You know how perfect that is? Who just clapped? Please continue with that. Continue with the applause. Thank you so much. 37 minutes.